How you doing? Hey, man. Come on in. So, you know, we've got lots of questions about, you know, why this thing. So this is something that's for the test. Yeah, we're trying to figure out a whole...
This thing looks a little bit nicer than ours.
Huh? It's nicer than any of mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lucore Automotive. As you can see, we are not at Lucore Automotive today. We're at Roebling Road, outside of Savannah, Georgia. And we are with Team Blitz. You may recognize that gentleman and Team Blitz as our new technical advisors on our Capri race car project. Well, Norm just finished off his dream race car and he invited us to come out to the track and see them break this thing in. This is not going to be one you want to miss. Stay tuned.
Wayne, what's the game plan? What should you want? Three quarters of effort on the motor? Three laps come in.
problem, big dog.
Something's wrong. I'm detonating.
Yeah, I know. I heard it.
And I was not under.
I know. I heard it.
I did not bury the throttle.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I heard it.
I mean, that was not me before bouncing off the road.
I agree with you 100%.
I was nowhere near full throttle.
Yeah, I could hear it.
I was half throttle.
Well, it's not going to run good at half throttle.
Okay. I was just afraid to give it more boot.
Give it more.
Okay. So Wayne, so when coming down the front straight,
Yeah.
I held it at half throttle. It was about 4,000 RPMs.
Do it more than that. See how far it'll go.
Exceed it and then see if that clears up.
Yeah.
That little.
Yeah.
Okay. Ashley, I'm going to punch through that RPM level and
I don't want you hanging around anywhere. That's real bad.
okay. Okay. I'm glad I came in.
says 6,000.
Yeah, that's what he said.
We all have bucket lists, those things we want to check off before we're checked off. Well, this happens to be Norm's, and this thing is epic. It has been a long build process for him, and we're gonna share you everything we possibly can down here. This is the first time this car has been fired up, just recently assembled, and this is our break-in and shakedown type process. So huge thanks to Norm for inviting us out for this. This is gonna be awesome. Probably not gonna be a lot of talking. Now, many of you will recognize Mr. Norm Murdoch. He was our technical advisor for our Capri project. This is his Capri project. Yeah. So there's way too much to talk about with this car. I'm gonna let Norm go through the process with, you've had this for a number of years. It's a crazy story as to how you have it.
Sure.
Fire away.
My team and I saw this car for sale back in 2018. We thought it was just a cool car, and it had a Westlake Essex engine in it, which is very rare, which is a rallycross engine that Ford did for the ITV Rallycross series that was televised, I believe, live in England back in 1970. And
So even at that point, it had a motor that we didn't get here in the States.
that's right, a very special, very rare motor. I'm pretty sure those Rallycross engines, Ford only made about 6 of them.
Oh, wow.
And somehow, Mr. Bremer, who restored this car, obtained one. And so we thought, wow, it's great. It's got a ZF 5-speed. It's got a ZF limited slip rear. It's got the floating axle hubs. It's got, BBS wheels. And we just looked at it, and we knew that Ross had campaigned the car for about 26 years and then quit racing it for about 6 years after that. He just kind of parked it. He is a small in stature fellow, and this takes a lot of upper body. Really, you see how fat the tires are.
Yeah.
It really takes a lot of upper body strength to wrangle this car around the track. It's not really so much a fine edged instrument. It's kind of a blunt hammer.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, you kind of like point it in a general direction, and if it goes that way, you're happy.
This is more wrestling the car,
It
not
is
driving.
wrestling. Yes, you're wrestling this car.
Okay.
So we saw it for sale. We negotiated. He came down not 1 penny. So we paid full boat. It came with some spare parts, but it did not come with what we would call a correct Trans Am or Group 2 engine. It did, you know, so we ran it that way for a couple years. We had a lot of fun, met a lot of friends, made a lot of new friends, you know, had some success. We were the top point scorer in 2020 in our class nationally in vintage racing, and we also won the Chattanooga time trials in 2019 with a car. So this car's had, in our hands, it's had some good luck, some good success. But what we wanted to do around here, Austin, is we wanted to fit a motor that actually belonged in a touring car Capri, either a Trans Am North American series or Group 2 European series, proper correct motor.
Sure.
This is a 1972 body. It's a 1973, if you will, Model U. So that's why it's got the double stack taillights. It's got this kind of headlight, and there's some other features. That disclose that it is, in fact, built in 1972. But it is what they call a facelift Capri, meaning it's had some upgrades to some of the appearance things. If it was a stock 73 model Capri, it would have a completely different interior than a pre-facelift. So this is a car built in 72. If we were to make this engine match the body, we would have in here what's called a Cologne Westlake. And it's one cam in the block, not quad cams. Westlake heads that are very much like the Dan Gurney Westlake heads that they ran on the small block Fords. So like, you know, Carroll Shelby and all those guys. When they started experimenting with Harry Westlake, he made small block Ford heads, and the V6 heads for the Cologne Westlake are very similar to those heads. So, at any rate, we have one of those engines.
Right.
But what we decided to do, since this thing had a Westlake Essex coming out of it, the easy thing, if you will, for us to do was put a Essex block engine back in it. Mm-hmm. Okay, that way the bell housing, the gearbox, much of the infrastructure, if you will, of an Essex block, the way it mounts, etc., would be the same as the motor we took out, the Rallycross motor.
Sure.
So we decided to put a Cosworth GAA in.
Logical.
Way more horsepower than the Westlake Cologne has.
Yeah.
And why not? So the guys in Trans Am, Oscar Racing, they did both motors. They did both the Westlake Cologne and they did the Cosworth GAA. So we decided we're still period correct in a way,
yeah,
because the team that owned this car they did put this engine in their cars. So is it correct for the year of body? No, it's not. Is it correct for running IMSA GTO? If we want to go to historic racing in IMSA GTO, it's absolutely dead on correct for that. Yeah, I bought this from Cosworth.
And this is a Cosworth through and through, all
yes,
original Cosworth.
It's not reproduction. It's brand new. They made these kits back in 1973, 74. Cosworth did. They made 200 kits. To homologate this racing engine, they had to make 200 kits, and they did. And they used it in Formula 5000, and they used it also in touring car, you know, the Capris.
Yeah.
So at one point, these were a pretty inexpensive, relatively speaking, surplus on the market motors. Now I'm talking about late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
When the Formula 5000 guys had moved on, there weren't any people vintage racing Capris.
Sure.
Because they were not quite cool again yet. So probably out of the 200 Cosworth made, there were probably 100 left over that were just warehoused. And that's how this came to be discovered by Cosworth USA. They had a customer that asked them to build a motor. Customer didn't pay the bill. We came along and bought it for what the bill was, what was due on the motor. And we didn't know, we thought it was a rebuilt motor.
Right.
Right? Because Cosworth's in that business.
Right.
They had this on the shelf just as surplus kind of doo-doo.
Collecting dust on a shelf.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but that was kind of a lucky, you know, like
Yeah.
it's 1 in a million.
So today is the first time this thing has been in this chassis. This
Yes.
is like a shakedown day.
That's right.
So make sure it runs right, make sure it doesn't leak anything.
That's right.
Make sure the systems work, everything's fine. something a little special. We thought it was something that was so special that we were going to travel halfway across the country to be able to share this with you guys. And he was gracious enough to allow us to come down here to Roebling Road and film it, to share it with you guys. So enjoy this. We certainly are going to. How'd that feel?
Whoa! Need a minute to have things calm down so you can get out?
I need a tissue.
Okay, that's what we thought. That's what we thought, dude.
I need a tissue.
That's what we thought. You were sounding good, dude.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Wayne's like, just, hey, dude, hold it in gear longer, wind it up higher in the RPM band. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
So,
Turn your off. You're
yes,
off.
I am off.
You're off here.
Yes, sir. So, getting to know you,
Yeah.
right?
It's a brand new relationship.
It's a brand new relationship. The motor is perfect. We had a little trouble with a breather can. So in the back, where the dry sump oil reservoir is, there's a pipe that comes out of that and goes to a breather can. And the breather can and the piping to it are not sufficiently ample enough for this motor. So we're gonna have to redesign that. But that, I mean, considering that's a detail.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a home run today. We wound this thing out to 8,000 RPMs. It's got a ceiling of 8,600, and I didn't take it all the way there. I felt like it would be a good test to get it 9/10 the way there.
Yeah.
And the man who built the motor was here on site. He was here to coach us through, you know, what it should sound like, what temperature it should be before we start racing, what the oil temperature and pressure should be, and do the telltale tack to see where am I shifting.
Right.
So he was here to do all the diagnostics, and hey, it came through perfectly. It's good for about 450 horsepower. The motor that came out was good for about 300. So it's
as
a
far
massive
as-
step up for us.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and you probably also didn't have quite so much of a rev range on your other one either, did you?
No. Oh gosh, no. No, we were. The Westlake Essex was all done at about 7,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all in all, I'd say this was a hell of a day. Hell of a win.
Hell of a day. Hell of a day. And these guys did so much detail stuff. When these GAs were in the 74 racing year Capris, they had side pod radiators and lines that went back to the radiator from the front all the way to the back quarter panels, where they had scoops and there were radiators mounted in the front of the wheel, and then to cool twin radiators. Well, we weren't going to destroy an original bodywork car and put side pod, redo the body. So, like a lot of guys who are racing Capris with GAs in Europe do, we just went with a front radiator. So we have an oil cooler on this side, an oil cooler on that side, so that the radiator is getting the full shot from the spoiler and the grill up into the radiator. So it involved a lot of detail work. If you look at pictures of the old Cosworth GA,
You were that loud.
original Ford installations, they had a swirl pot situation just like this. This is all handcrafted to make this look original. This is an original Lucas Rita ignition box that has been reused and repurposed with an MSD digital ignition inside what looks to be an original Lucas ignition.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So like there's a lot of stuff on this car that they absolutely nailed to try to make it as authentic and period correct as they could.
Sure.
All this linkage, that's all original. Very complex linkage.
Mechanical fuel injection.
Mechanical fuel injection metering unit. Okay, and of course the injectors are here. And that's the metering unit. And, dry sump pump down here along the side. You can see the jack shaft if you had a little light. It just barely clears the cross member.
Yep.
These are British-made headers specifically for the Capri to fit a GA into a Capri. So the attention to detail is just phenomenal. I couldn't be happier with the work that the prep shop did. And the prep shop is Andy Green Sports and Vintage Race Cars in Savannah, Georgia. And I would recommend them to anybody who has a complex race car project. You get what you pay for.
You had to have been, especially those last few laps, I could almost feel your smile from halfway across the track.
Oh yeah.
The first few laps, you could kind of feel like you were a little nervous. You were
Feeling it
unsure.
out. Feeling it out.
We're not going to give it all its beans.
Right.
Those last few laps, when you were using fourth gear all the way down there, I could hear
Right.
this thing screaming from halfway across the track.
Right.
I mean, I could feel your smile.
Yeah, the first couple sessions I short shifted. Wasn't really sure if some of the gosh, what would you call it? The wasn't detonation. It was fouled plugs. Wasn't sure what that was, and all I had to do was basically blow the carbon out of the combustion chambers, and that just instantly went away. So what cured it was sticking my foot down. And
Drive the car, Norm.
I think they call that. They call that an Italian tune-up.
Yes, absolutely.
Put
It's
out the
actually a
pedal-
thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's actually a thing.
Put out the pedal down. So yeah, and then it was smooth the rest of the day. It's like it had probably idled around the paddock a little too much. We have to idle it to warm the car up,
Right.
Because it can't go out cold. Both the oil and the coolant need to come up to temperature, and I think that idling probably carbons up the plugs just a little.
Yeah.
And so I was a little skittish about what is that?
Yeah.
Right? Do I have a miss? What's going on? And it turned out, hey, just blow the black smoke out, and it ran great.
Shut up, Norm. Go drive it.
Yeah, right. Not a single drop of nothing's leaking.
No.
It wasn't tinking. It ran cool, not dangerous. It didn't run cold, but it ran cool.
And it's a huge capacity. It's like 17 quarts or something like that, as
Yes.
far as your oil goes. So
Yes, right.
It's
And 2 coolers.
on
my
a
God.
nice cool day,
Yeah.
it's going to run a little cooler because it's designed to be able to take the abuse of a really hot track day.
Yeah, I think our high today was 74.
Yeah.
So
Well, Norm, thank you very much for having us out.
thanks for coming down.
This was a great
Appreciate you
experience.
guys crewing for us.
It was this was a great experience. So yeah, you don't see one of those every day because you can't. Look at that. I'm just gonna shut up. Well, hopefully you guys have all enjoyed this. There is a brand new, amazing Cosworth Capri here in North America. Very much thank you to Roebling Road. Thanks to Norm for inviting us out to this. Well worth the trip. Absolutely amazing to see this thing blasting around the track. The sounds it makes are incredible. And honestly, it's just amazing to see something like this. Because this doesn't exist in North America. They don't exist here. That's it. So, anyway, hopefully you guys like this. For all of our Capri guys, wanted to bring you guys something pretty unique and interesting because we've got a lot ahead of us in the Capri phase, but it's cool to see what the absolute pinnacle of Capri can be. Not that we're going to build this, because we're not going to build anything like this, but it gives us motivation. Hopefully it motivates you guys too. So drop a comment in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed yet to our channel, please do click on that subscribe button. As I said, we have our Capri project coming up. That's developing very quickly. It's going to get a lot more crazy than we expected it to, but you'll have to see that in another couple of episodes here shortly. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Click on the like button. You already made it this far. We'll see you on the next one.